Hello everybody, Rudy here. In today's video, I am going to give a quick overview of how I'm going about porting my engine. Now, this is not like a how-to necessarily. This is just kind of showing for a lot for maybe future reference of my own of how I'm doing this. But basically, starting with a Pineapple Racing 13 BFC medium street port template. Now I'm using the secondary port template on the primary ports to reference the leading or opening edge and the trailing or closing edge of the port. I like the way that these two ends line up as opposed to how the Pineapple Racing primary port template is laid out. I just really like the way that the timing kind of opens up the full length of that leading edge. This one, the corners kind of rounded off, so you have like a smaller kind of leading edge that pops open when that side seal starts to sweep through, or basically that face of the rotor starts to sweep through. So you have a little bit of a taller area. Now the bottom here, I'm not going to open that up all the way. I am going to use the primary port for that kind of reference line. And then the top, they're almost identical, but just for kind of simplicity's sake, I am using the top line here of the secondary port. This one is kind of angled a little bit upwards, and I don't know, it doesn't matter. If the side seals are designed to work with this port as far as Pineapple Racing is concerned, then that's good enough for me. I'm going to use the leading edge of the secondary port because that matches the small kind of section here. Just bring that up all the way. Use the closing edge, which is very similar, but then reference the bottom edge here for the primary. So I'll flip this around and scribe it out. As far as cutting tools, I have this Amazon bit set that I don't know what I bought it for, but I bought it a long time ago. But basically, I came up with the more kind of, I've already done 2 ports so far, and I already came up with a kind of a methodology of what bits I'm using. First, I'm starting off with this kind of rounded, kind of pointed bit here. I use that to kind of start the port, and I come in pretty vertical. And because this is kind of has a slight angle to it, maybe, I don't know, 10, 20 degree angle, when it opens up, the lower face has a nice little bit of a sweep or kind of ramp to it, if you will. A lot of people I see, they kind of blend this out and really kind of smooth that into a crazy kind of almost like a crest of a hill almost, which I don't know, to each their own. To me, I like the fact that you have a more abrupt closing. Maybe that gives more of an effect in regards to that kind of pulse or what have you with the harmonics and the intake manifold and all that jazz. Anyways, I start with that bit to open up the edges here once they're all scribed. Once that's done, I try a knife edge or give this edge, this leading edge, like kind of an airfoil finish. So think of like the kind of trailing end of an airplane wing. It kind of tapers down to almost like a point. So same thing, you don't necessarily want a sharp edge. Just maybe leave a millimeter or millimeter and a half of height after you're all said and done. To get to that point, I use this straight bit with a rounded top or corners. That way it's not kind of digging into something if I kind of go overboard and go anyways. Because you have also this bit which has a sharp corner to it. That's, you know, I'm not going to use that. I'm using this to come in like this, knock that whole edge down until I have about maybe a millimeter and a half of edge left. Once I have that, with that same bit, I'll round it off and kind of give it a little bit of maybe a 3-step or 4-step kind of almost like a valve job, if you will. And then I'll move on to this kind of oval bit to take care of some of the corners and the pockets and what have you, and continue to touch everything up. Then move on to this one to, again, kind of finish everything up. Any kind of high spots, bring them down. And then finally with this rounded ball end. That ball end lets me get into the crevice here of the runner. So coming in straight down, I can really kind of work it in there and smooth everything out. And it's not going to, because you're coming in straight, basically, it's not going to cut super crazy. Now, I am running these bits at about 30,000 when I'm doing my kind of initial cuts. And I might bring that down to, well, I'll leave it at 30 for the most part when I'm doing a lot of the material removal. Then I'll bring it down to about 25. And then with the ball end, I'll probably do 20 just to keep these kind of sane. After that, the port is basically finished. All the high spots are gone. The overall, kind of profile of the port opening is done. I'll touch it up with the ball end and kind of smooth anything out. Smooth that out, smooth that out, smooth that out. If I need to, I'll use this little guy to kind of touch up some things, maybe in here somewhere. I don't know. I don't really go in there any more than what I've kind of established. Then, to get these ports, you'll see I already finished the one side. To get these ports, I was coming in with this bit, the kind of straight, rounded triangle bit, to clean up the casting, open it up, and really get that port to kind of maximum volume. However, I found that even this 120 grit ball or I don't know, cylinder sander or whatever was doing quite a lot of work in removing material. Even though I was just trying to polish this up, it was removing quite a bit of material. So you might want to go with like a 60 or 80 grit to open this up, then move on to the 120, and then maybe touch it up with this cone disc, because it just helps to kind of clean everything up without taking out much, if any, material. And finally, some Scotch-Brite. So I don't have a flapper disc thing for a fancy Dremel air tool, rotary tool, whatever. I just have what I got here. So I take one of these bits that are meant to be used with a cutting blade. I'll sandwich about 2 layers. Kind of think of this cut in lengthwise here, so that kind of dimension. 2 layers bolted onto here. Put your bit in there. Put your kind of Scotch-Brite in there. Start up your Dremel at about 20,000 RPM. Clean it up, and it'll do, I would say, a really good job, especially given the tools that I'm using. So yeah, let me scribe this out just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So, quick reference there, that's the scribe for the secondary port on the primary opening. And then that's how it looks. Hopefully I'm not blowing this out. Yeah, I think you could make out the line on camera here. So overall, the leading and trailing ends are fairly the same. The angle of this closing end of the primary template port is a little bit kind of, what would you say, tilted inwards towards the eccentric shaft for whatever reason, whereas the secondary ports are more kind of horizontal, I think. Anyways, slightly different to me. I don't think it's going to matter. I like the fact that the secondary ports have that full opening, give that really kind of snappy vacuum effect, I think, to bring that velocity up in the primary intake runner. So now I'll just copy this lower feature and I'll start porting away. All right, so there it is again. Let me actually put this around because for peace of mind, I want to make sure that I did do what I'm saying I'm doing, and that is following that secondary port trailing edge. Otherwise, one, I'd be looking like a dumbass, and two, I'd have two different port closing times. But no, we're good. So again, secondary port, leading edge, trailing edge, and primary port, bottom, kind of lower feature. I don't want to open this up extravagantly. A lot of people say that's where you get all your airflow. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah, this is a lot better than no street port. So I hope you enjoyed this quick video. Again, not an overall tutorial. I have no idea what I'm doing. But if you like what you see, maybe subscribe, maybe check out our website, buy some stuff, get yourself a hat for those hot summer days. Peace. I just realized before I go, I'm going to leave you with some detailed shots showing that leading edge, how it's kind of like an airfoil, like an airplane wing. I picked that up from Coleman Racing. I looked and looked and looked to see if anybody else kind of had the same theory. It just makes sense to me to have that kind of knife edge on there. So here's some pictures. Enjoy.